we got a little bit more of our technical stuff figured out.
We learned how to use microphones. We're getting real. I feel like ghosts are better at using our sound equipment than we are.
Today's episode is going to be about Old Town Spring. We have our wonderful guest, Kate Dunn, here. Alright, so the first area that we went to was the Wunsch Brothers Cafe and Saloon. Let's talk a little bit about what we got, which were a metric fuck ton of voices.
Yeah.
Give or take.
Yeah.
All the evidence that was there happens over the range of like 20 or 30 seconds. So, you're getting slammed with evidence.
Right.
And it's like mostly people going, ugh.
The same voice came over Spirit Box and over EVP, not through the Spirit Box.
Talking.
It is the same voice. And if it's just our EVP, then, or like our voice recorder that's recording it, then it's not a radio signal. Because a voice recorder just records the immediate proximity.
Yeah.
And it didn't come over the Spirit Box. It came from the immediate vicinity.
How can you tell that it didn't come over the Spirit Box?
Well, it did not sound... It didn't have the sweeps that the Spirit Box did. And also, It sounded a lot clearer than the voices that we've gotten in the past that came over the Spirit Box. So it sounded, honestly, like the guy was right behind Kate.
I remember hearing a deep voice several times when Connor and I were in front of the Wunsch Cafe.
Over the Spirit Box?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Connor, you said, we talked about this many times before, but you said that you only heard it once, but I heard it more than once. And I think that might have popped up on, like, the sound recordings as well. It's probably one of those.
There's a moment where you say, Charles, why did your shop burn down? And a voice comes through, and it wasn't definitive enough to write it in quotes of what happened, but it sounded like somebody yelled, "Those assholes!" and I really like to think that this guy was about to say, "Those assholes! They fucking burnt it down. They cursed the land, then these dumbasses cut down a tree, and here we are." I think it's interesting, for example, that the voices only came through during Spirit Box. We didn't get a single piece of evidence from just the old-fashioned EVP.
Old-fashioned EVP. In any investigation, it's going to be hit or miss what we get evidence on. I can't, I can't tell you why one worked over the other. There are a bunch of, theories that say, like, it's easier for ghosts to use one piece of equipment than another. I mean, the fact that we had one voice recorder during EVP and during Spirit Box, it was the Spirit Box, the Bluetooth speaker, and the voice recorder. It was all putting out electromagnetic energy.
At 6:22 and 6:23 of the video, I don't know if my eyes were playing tricks on me, but I totally saw something in the window. Like, move. And it might have been because, Benny, you were in charge of the camera, and I'm not, like, hating on your camera skills, but you were moving it around quite a bit. So it might have just been, like, the movement of the lights and stuff. And, like, it was in the night vision mode, so it might have just been those different, like, shadows and grays overlapping one another, but...
You may recall when we were walking towards the railroad tracks, Connor said he saw something in that window. Like, with his own two eyes.
Yeah.
It did take me a while to remember that, but I do remember that, and I remember you, Benny, saying that it was my eyes playing tricks on me.
I tend to think if you see a person, like, with your own two eyes, it's your eyes playing tricks on you, because every ghost show I've ever seen, there is almost never evidence of, like, an actual figure.
Right.
Because they're not actually there. So if you see something, it's a lot of times your eyes. Holy fucking shit!
Yeah, like that. That was fucking terrifying.
I didn't even notice that. That's my roommate.
So, after Wunsch Brothers, we took a little trip down the road to the railroad tracks in search of the railroad worker who lost his head.
Connor, I want to know your opinion. Was it a ghost investigation or was it an urban legend?
I think since we really didn't know a lot about this particular person, you know, in other investigations, we go to, you know, cemeteries, houses, powder mills, stuff like that. We know a little more history. I'd say this one was an urban legend. I have to apologize when it comes to the filming for this one because I was the one behind the camera, obviously, and about the time that your interesting thing happened, Benny, was around the time that Kate started looking very confused.
I
And
was actually very confused.
oh, I know.
She looked off. She looked off in the distance and said, "Why did I agree to do this?"
Benny, you're sitting there being your usual sarcastic self. You're looking up and looking around, looking for a ghost.
And I'm over here and I'm like...
Yeah, and Kate starts having that face. So
Why is there a box over there?
I didn't know what it was. I was trying to figure that out.
So I'm looking at
My favorite
her.
part is that you notice something that's been there for however many years, 5 minutes into the video. You waited until the one instance where something might have happened to notice something that people have been seeing for a long ass time. If suddenly a ghost walked up to you and started yanking on your hair, and at that moment I look left and go, "What is that cafe and saloon over there?"
Benny,
Whatever.
your necklace pull was not. I was not expecting that to happen, but I was watching her be very confused. So that's why I kind of like pan over to her and
Stole his
barely
thunder.
catch your amazing face that we've used in a
Yeah.
couple different Instagram promotions.
Your neck probably twitched, which is like, that happens. Like, that happens to me. Like,
Yeah.
your veins move because you're alive. Like,
A neck twitching and the necklace moving in that different of a time, like in that much of a time frame, I don't think we can attribute it to the twitch.
I have the necklace. Why don't we go through it? Now, what are we looking to do here?
So what we did that night was I picked the necklace up and moved it up your neck a
Up.
little bit
Right.
and then dropped it. Yeah. See, it stopped.
So if I went like that.
Yeah.
So if I go.
Yeah. I think that's the speed from the video, like exactly.
I agree with Kate. I do think it was a twitch. What does support Connor's theory a little bit is at the exact moment that necklace is pulled, you hear a noise.
Honestly, and I know this might sound like a bit of a reach, so be ready to make fun of me. But what it sounds
Always
like
am.
to me,
That's pretty spot on, yeah.
that. So like someone pulling on your necklace, and like their hand actually gets caught on your sleeve or something. So it's like
It literally does sound with the necklace moving, though. It doesn't come after and it doesn't come before.
Yeah.
It comes as it moves. So even your theory, if it was a ghost, wouldn't work.
wouldn't be this. So the other thing we have to talk about from the railroad tracks, and Benny, I'm surprised that this isn't your favorite moment of the season.
Oh, the train track investigation as a whole is one of my favorites because of this one thing where suddenly it's a big fuck you to you. And
You started walking around, shirt up over your head, flashlight, to fit in is the quote, I believe. And I make my usual comment, you think you're fucking hilarious, don't you? Or you think you're hilarious, don't you? And someone says a little bit. But
I want to point out that every time we go on a ghost hunt, Connor always says to me when I make a joke, "You're being disrespectful." You know what, buddy? You can go fuck yourself because ghosts think I'm funny. I don't understand why, once you die, you suddenly lose the ability to laugh at jokes at your own expense. It's one of those rare moments that I do really hope they're real. Now, I do have this theory, which you and your father actually both say isn't true, but I'm not on camera. So I almost get the feeling where I'd be like, yeah, I do think I'm hilarious a little bit.
it doesn't sound like you to me. And it sounds really quick. It sounds like a voice, not like you, with vocal fry. It sounds like someone going, a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
The one supporting theory that is interesting to me is that the voice came through the audio recorder and the camera. Yeah, they come through at the exact same volume, which is why it's interesting. We talked about this the first night. I do remember talking about this. It's interesting because nobody was the same distance from the voice recorder and the camera to where it would come through at the same volume.
Yeah.
That part is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And this is the only location we've been to where voices come through camera.
Yeah, camera is usually like unusable.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
bad audio.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
but in this, we have 3 pieces of evidence that came through camera.
Alright, so after the train tracks, we kind of just wandered around Old Town Spring. So as we're walking around, we saw some lampposts flickering, and we were arguing about whether or not that was a circuit error or whether or not it could be something attributed to the paranormal. But before we even started arguing, we actually got a small piece of evidence, a voice that came through. So there are a couple things that we think she could be saying. There was street, retreat, treat, and then something that I think Benny and I kind of have a consensus on is that it sounds a lot like tree, which is interesting because, and you'll hear this in a later episode, but the other place that we're going to be investigating actually has a story around it when it comes to the trees in the backyard. And we were in pretty close proximity to it. And then another thing that we got also while wandering around, we went to the Whitehall house, and we were
This
trying
is when
to...
the hay comes through, right?
Yeah. So we're trying to find the porch swing, which we went back and found a couple of weeks later. But we were trying to find the porch swing, and we're walking around. I think we had just basically given up on it when a very audible "Hey" comes through. And we don't react to it, so we didn't hear it with our own ears at the time. But it came
Because I know
through on
I
our
for sure
recorder.
would have reacted. But
Yeah.
to be fair, you were only filming Benny, but then again, Benny totally would have reacted too, and he didn't.
We were trying to find the porch swing, couldn't find it. Maybe the spirit was saying,
Hey!
"Hey, fucking
dipshit."
bozos, it's up here."
Also, one thing I want to talk about, the cats. I love cats as much as the next guy, but... but, like, I don't adopt them to protect me from anything.
Well, okay, this probably has nothing to do with it, but I know in ancient Egypt, they were, like, the symbol for... You know, they worshipped cats. I think cats, throughout history, have always had a certain symbol towards them. Like, for Egypt, it was, oh, they're, we're gonna worship them, they're a god, blah, blah, blah.
Why are there no towns where, like, cows protect us from ghosts? Because, cows were worshipped in history, too.
This is
Still
true.
are.
The only thing I can think of is it's not real. It's just they have tons of strays wandering around the town, and that's true for almost any old town.
What's really interesting to me is not a single one of the cats in that town cared when I pointed the laser at them. I think they were too busy protecting us from evil spirits to play with our petty laser pointer. I want to thank everybody for watching this episode of Two Paranormal Guys with special guest Kate Dunn. We'll see you next time on Two Paranormal Guys in the social network. Welcome to Old Town Spring, home of incredible background noise. I don't live here, but I live around here, so I've been here a lot since I was a little kid, somewhat. Imagine me exactly the same, but about this tall. Thank you.
I can see it.
I know. Like light facial hair and everything. Welcome to Old Town Spring. Go fuck yourself. And I went to middle school not far from fucking butt sucker. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
This is it. Kate, would you like to talk a little bit about it before I shoot somebody?
You're not supposed to do that because the Native Americans.
Please don't fact check us. Honestly, I read
Yeah,
like
don't.
a couple sites that said that it could be wrong, but it's a ghost show. Like, is it reliable to begin with? Tonight we're gonna be doing some spirit box to see if he's here. Fuck you. And it got him in the neck. Now he wanders the streets.
Looking for his head?
He's strolling the streets for head. Head this railroad worker. It's gonna be hard for you to talk to us, but if you can, do it.
Do it.
Because he doesn't have a mouth.
Oh, you're right.
I am.
Sign language?
Yeah, he should sign language into the voice recorder. Perfect.
Let us know that you're here with us right now. Well,